Hi, I'm here with Maudy, who is my Reiki instructor, and we're going to talk a bit about her background and how she came to Reiki. It's been a long journey. So just to find how she's found her purpose. So Christine, do you want to tell me your very interesting background?
It's a bit complicated. It's a bit complicated, but I think now I'm at a stage where everything makes sense, because I believe that everything we learn has a reason and a purpose in the big scheme of our universe for our life.
Yes.
So I started actually by studying psychology. That's the first thing I did at university.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was living alone, I left my family quite early, and I needed to pay for my studies myself and my rent. I was just offered, I met some people and I was offered to work in the center who was hosting, it was like little houses for children with social problems.
Mm-hmm.
So no families, most of them, or sometimes for a long time, sometimes just because the parents had an accident or were in jail, this kind of stuff. And I was going there to sleep with the children at night, a couple of times a week and sometime on the weekend, and it was enough to pay for my studies and for my rent.
Mm-hmm.
But it just happened that the woman who was directing this very new center really liked me. I think she liked my energy, and she could see I really loved the children, and she knew I was studying psychology. And one day she just came and told me, why do you make your life difficult by having to work at night and go to uni straight after? If you want, come and work full time, and I pay a school for you. So it was not pure psychology, it was what we call specialized education. And this school, the formation was on 4 years. So it was basically 3 weeks of work, 1 week full time at school.
Yeah.
So I did this for 4 years, and I really enjoyed working with children and learning. So it was really a very complete course about so lots of psychology, of course, but also nutrition, so many things, studying all the social problem which could happen and all this kind of stuff. And so when I finished, I was, I had a beautiful diploma of specialized education. And I kept working in this area for a few years with different experiences. I worked with children with suffering from autism, physical abilities, which actually I found too challenging, but I was only 20 years old. And it was not simple disability. There were really children who couldn't walk, who were basically, in the bed, and you had to feed. It was quite hard,
physically
very hard. And
challenging.
I think when I did this, the 2 or 3 or 4, first week I lost 4 kilos. I couldn't even eat. I had nightmares about these children and their family. I thought that's the most awful thing for parents to live, to have children who won't evolve, won't do anything because there was a problem at birth. So yeah, it was quite a challenging experience, but it's what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, as we say.
Absolutely.
Really. So I knew I was, I wouldn't keep doing this work, and I really admired the people who were able to do it. They were just fabulous, fabulous women. It was a team of women. And on the side, because I'm naturally quite creative, so despite working full-time, I was...
And studying.
Yeah. I was also doing some fashion. I was making all my clothing, from everything, from scratch, from the drawing, from everything. And also painting on timber at the time. And again, I met some friends who wanted to open a small gallery in this place near Paris where I used to live. So we had we were three couples taking a turn to work on the in this place on on the days I was not working, and I was selling some of the clothes I was making, some of my painting on order, doing commission work for people.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite good fun. And I decided after my last job with children, I decided to have a break. So I stopped working and spent more and more time in this gallery and in my studio, making things, buying old furniture, painting, and doing some painting on them. And at one stage, I just I was a bit challenged actually, because my boyfriend at the time, was looking at what I was doing. He said, "Well, you're successful with your painting, you're successful with your fashion, all your girlfriend are wearing what you're doing. Why don't you choose?" And I thought, okay, why not? Yeah. So I just put all my money, all my saving, to hire a stall at the big fashion show in Paris, which was crazy, but it's a bit. That's a bit
quite daring. Yeah, very daring.
Which was quite daring, but
yeah.
I didn't have one doubt, and anyway, I had to test, because if you don't test, you don't know. So I had to be brave. So I just put all my money to not only to have a stall, but to build a full collection. So I drew the whole collection, went to buy, fabrics in Germany, where there is a big show for fabrics, and did a collection which was quite amazing, I must say. And did the fashion show, and my boyfriend was my partner, came to help me on the, so it was 4 or 5 days, really intense, and it worked.
Wow.
The shop were coming, loved what I was doing, and we were just filling up orders. And I didn't have a clue of how I would be able to make quantities, and to deliver.
You've just gone there.
I've just gone, I was just there, and I had a beautiful collection just as a test, and and we were taking orders and orders to deliver in Paris, in Saint-Tropez, a bit everywhere. So it was quite exciting. I was, really very excited, and when it was finished, immediately I started to call, people in Paris who do all the sewing and all this kind of stuff. And I was very lucky, because I met this guy who had this, this place really actually 10 minutes from where I was living, in the center of Paris, where people working for him, like you see in some movies, all this table with a sewing machine, and they were doing, quantities for fashion designer. So I started to work with him. And then the orders became too big, so I had to find a little factory in Brittany. So it was a bit more complicated, because we had to plan. Very nice older man, also. And so I did this for quite a while. And I remember after the third or fourth collection, so you have two falls, two collection a year. I started to doubt of, I was not having so much fun. Drawing the collection, choosing the fabrics, it was fabulous and was really making me happy. But, sometimes I had orders, people, instead of buying the dress and the little jacket who will go with it, would say, we just want the dress, but we want, 2,000 of them. And I thought, that's boring.
Yeah, right.
It's good money, but it's boring.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes we were, even when my partner was not working, on the Monday, that's when you deliver shops in Paris. Sometimes we were, going with the guy who was doing the delivery, and delivering what you have, big shops in Paris where all the smaller shops come, I don't know, you call this in English, wholesale. who were coming to, during the week. And I remember once we were delivering this shirt, and this fabrics really started by giving me nightmare, because I had done it was a hit during the summer collection.
Oh, okay.
Everyone wanted this fabric.
Right.
The kind of jungle print, I still see it, And we had to do, I don't remember, but it was ridiculous, thousands of the same shirt. And so we went to this shop because they were owing me quite a lot of money. And the guy was delivering, and it was going from one car basically to another truck. It was sold immediately.
Wow.
And I thought, it's becoming a nightmare.
Yeah. So the success was becoming a nightmare. It was too much, too big. Yeah.
It was too much.
Yeah.
So I decided that I will slow down and maybe look at doing something else, and very fast, just decided to stop the business and have a break, and the break was to have a baby, so that was a good purpose.
Yeah.
But the break didn't last a long time, because I had, as a fashion designer with my own label, I had quite a lot of interviews, I had quite a lot of editorials. And I had made friends with really lovely journalists in all the best, fashion magazines in Paris. So one of my friends, told me, "Oh, while you're just taking, care of yourself and the baby to come, why don't you help me to get some editorials for some of my products?" And I thought, oh yeah, why not, easy. And I just went, to see the journalist I knew, saying, well, look what I have, I have this amazing little box, and it's also a safe, and it looks like a bubble. It's really good fun. And the journalist said, yeah, it's really fabulous. No one has this. So I said, what should I do, And they explained to me how to do, a press release and have a good photo, and so I did it. And from there, there were plenty of products, and I was so successful in having the photo everywhere in all the magazines that some companies started to call this guy I was doing some PR for, asking my name, and before I knew it, I had to create a PR company and event management, because very, very fast some clients asked me to create events for them. So whatever, making an event, doing a big show for product, or whatever, gastronomy, tourism, beauty. I was working in a lot of different sectors, and I really loved it. And I did this for more than 15 years with the same pleasure. So
That's
I think
amazing.
I had really found it was very complete, because it was relation. I love having relation with people. It was creative, because when you have to create a full event for a product like I remember I had for a company called Bose that everyone knows. It's a
Bose, the sound.
The sound. I had their budget for years and years and years, and every time there was an extraordinary product, they asked me, create an event, whatever you want.
Fantastic!
So it was, the most I could really be creative, and they loved all my ideas. So I did. They had some little speakers that need to be plugged in. They could work. There was a battery. They could work without power. So we created a night just outside Paris. In a place which is a park for children, and it's called the Sea of Sands, because you have dunes and kilometers of sands, like if you were in the middle of the Sahara.
Wow.
So we created a night. We had some Moroccan tent, you organize a couscous in the middle of nowhere, camels to bring the journalists to the tent for the night. It was, they
felt like they were in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly, 30 minutes from Paris, but it just felt like they were in the northern part, of Africa or whatever. So yeah, I could create, anything,
Yeah.
anything for these guys, and it was really, really good fun.
Yeah, it's really interesting what you've said about your journey so far, because it doesn't feel like it's about ambition or planning or anything like that. Like a lot of people are like, oh, this is the career that I'm going to have and these are the steps I'm going to take to get to this position. Whereas for you, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it's been very much like, well, I did this for the period that I enjoyed it, then I've moved on to this,
Yeah.
and I've just found whatever opportunity presented itself almost, and then really run with it.
It's really, when I look at it now, it's really about pleasure and happiness, basically. What makes you happy? And I think that's really important, to do something that makes your heart sing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not, just having money. Well, of course we need money to survive, but it's to go and work in a place where you feel it's draining your energy, or do a job, like I had, I met people on my journey who were going and working in the mines because it was really lots of money very fast. But during this time they don't see their partners, and then their families sometimes fall apart, or they are in a very toxic environment. So money, but what price, Personally, I think I was never able to work, even when I started before working with children. I did few students' job when I was still even at high school. But, it was always fun. I worked in a pet shop.
Yeah.
And I remember, we were, a group of students working in this pet shop on the weekends, and we had really so much fun.
It's so great. It's so great to hear you explain it like that, because one of the challenges I find when I talk to people that are frustrated in their career is that they're very focused on the money, and it's like I just always feel like until they can put that aside, they will remain quite stuck.
Yeah.
Whereas what you've said, it's about pleasure and happiness and making
I think that when you're happy and you're in your flow, everything starts working. And even if you don't make, thousands of $1,000,000, you make enough to keep doing it and to develop it. So I really believe both work together. But the first thing is to be happy. If you're not happy, you're not healthy, everything just doesn't. And money is hard. What
becomes
a price.
hard work.
Of course. What
exactly.
a price to pay to have the just a career or whatever. And when you talk about career, it's also about the ego. It's about what people are going to think. Don't give a damn about what people are going to think.
Exactly. No, that's really true. So you did the helping the kids, the fashion, and like a lot of things all at once. The fashion, and then PR, and then you did that about 15 years. And then what
15
happened
years,
after
and after this time I didn't stop because I didn't like it. It just happened that I traveled. I was attracted to travel to Africa. To Sierra Leone, just because every weekend part of my job was to buy, all the newspaper, magazine, and take the editorial for my clients. It was part of my job, and make their books, with all the editorials about them, and find inspiration. Once one of these winter weekend where I was, doing all this, the Figaro and all this French magazine, I just stopped absolutely, I don't know, almost shocked, looking at this double page of an amazing photo of Sierra Leone.
Oh, okay.
Pristine beach. The article, the editorial was just saying that the country was just opening to tourism, never opened before. So there was a new airline, company which just started a flight from France. And it just, I don't know, it called me. It really talked to me, it called me, and I just said to my husband, well, I don't know what to think, but that's where we are going on holiday. So, and you say, oh, yeah, why not? You know, it looks stunning. And I was always the one organizing our trips. So we arrived in Sierra Leone, and my life changed. It was just I had a big spiritual awakening, I think. And at first I didn't understand what happened, but really the day we landed, it was night. I remember it was, of course, very warm when we had just left, 6 hours earlier Paris, where it was freezing. And I don't know, everything just, the smell of the country, the atmosphere, the energy, I just felt like a tsunami of emotion. I don't know how to describe it,
Wow.
And it was really strange, very strange. And we had to take this bus to go on the right, track, because there was no road, to go to this tiny little resort who had just started. There were just a few bungalows, and I just felt completely excited. All my senses were completely, alive.
Yeah.
And we arrived in this place, and it was, of course, very dark. It was night, crossing few little villages with no electricity, and yeah, something magical really happened. I couldn't sleep the first night. I was too excited.
Wow.
And the next morning, as soon as it was, it was daylight, I went out and I was, wow, the mountains with the jungle behind us. There were these beautiful mountains, this, beautiful yellow sand on kilometers of beach, pristine beach. It was just absolutely amazing. It was stunning, and I felt it was exhilarating, and at the same time I felt like I was home somewhere, peaceful and excited at the moment, which is an amazing combination. And we spent 2 weeks here with my daughter and my ex-husband. It was just, the people, the local people, the people who had, like me, fell in love with this place and decided to start this resort and left their life. They all had amazing career.
Yeah.
The guy who was the director was a very, good and famous photographer. His wife, had also, they left everything to live there. And I felt completely in love with the place and with this feeling that I was having without really understanding what it was. So, when we left, I felt really depressed. And I went back to Paris, woke up, I remember the first day, still happy to meet my team, because I had a beautiful team of girls working for me. I adored my client, and I was always joking to the people who, like my ex-husband, who was more, money-oriented, that I love them so much that I will work for free.
Yeah.
But my heart was not there anymore. There was something missing. It was really strange. I was waking up every morning almost crying and telling, I need to go back. There is something I need to understand. And because I'm very stubborn, we went back, and actually I went to the office in Paris with some of my books, with what I did for what I was doing for my clients, editorials and stuff. And I went to this tiny little office in Paris where there was the airline, airline just doing Sierra Leone at the time, and the people taking care of this resort. And I said, basically, you need me. You need me. You're just starting.
Yes.
You want to grow. You want people to know about your place. I went there. I just love it.
Yeah.
No one else than me can talk to the journalists, and I know all the journalists. I can bring them to your place. And they say, well, listen, we don't have a budget, but we can pay you by, with your tickets, your flights, and free holiday.
Wow.
And I say, okay, deal.
Yeah.
And I did this actually for 7 years. So I kept my PR company, and for 7 years they were part of my budget. So I was going, 3-4 times a year, bringing journalists, and then on holiday with my family.
Interesting.
And it was really magical, and I started really to understand why I was so fascinated by this place. And I think it was my connection with nature and with people living, really their passion, which is not always, in Paris. It's a bit. You see some people with fashion, with doing fashion or anything with fashion, but it's not as strong.
Yeah, you'd seen people who'd really uprooted themselves and followed their dreams.
Following their dream, and it was a big learning curve. And the last, the last few years where I was going to this place to work, we were already looking for the place to live. So we had decided, and I had convinced my family, that we needed to move, because that was my dream, was to live like them, but in a place, a different place, because I knew that Sierra Leone or Africa wouldn't was not what I was looking for. But I wanted a connection with nature. I wanted to live, passionately, and I wanted to have this experience. And that's how Australia came in the line, and in a magical way also, because no one in France was talking about Australia at the time. It was before Crocodile Dundee and all this stuff. And Priscilla and Muriel's wedding. We had a wave after of that, and one of my best friends who does advertising movie came to Australia. I think, was it for Peugeot? Or big brand of car. I think it was Peugeot. Sent him to Australia to make advertising movie with their new car. So he went to make a movie, part of the movie in Sydney. Then they went to Uluru, and he had traveled with me in Sierra Leone. He knew me since we met the first time I was 18. So very, very close friends. He knew exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And he came back from Australia. We were the first people that that we called, and he said, "Christine, let's have a lunch. I have present for you, and I think I found your place." And I thought, okay, interesting. And so we had lunch, and he had brought a boomerang and a lot of stuff, and he was completely excited. And he said, as soon as I was there, I kept thinking about you, so you have to go and have a look, which we did. So the next holiday, we booked a trip to Australia and arrived through Darwin. And really loved it, and came 3 times to visit a bit, a lot of different corners places in Australia, and we were doing. Basically, we were spending the time on the weekend making a list of what was important, and we were, a family. There was me, my ex-husband, my daughter was. When we moved, she was 13, so we started really to look for a place when she was 10. She was involved too, what's important for you. And, so we were looking at the map of the globe, looking at the globe and saying, well, we want subtropical climate. We want really strong power of nature. For me, that was fundamental. That was my number one. We want plenty of space. We want, good education for the children, because I had a little one as well. And and when we visited Australia 3 times, we were immediately convinced that was the place, which was really funny, and everything worked perfectly. My ex-husband was invited to do a trip with the French Chamber of Commerce. They had it was Paul Keating at the time in Australia, and they had an agreement to organize, a tour with a lot of French entrepreneurs. And he was he was part of the direct marketing board, and one of the guys speaking the best English. So
wow, it's really
he was asked to come and met Paul Keating, and came back even more, convinced that it was a good place to move in.
Yeah, well, interesting that you said he's now your ex-husband, that you could agree to make such a massive move that everyone agreed, because that's...
So we sold everything. We sold our companies, we had 3 companies. We sold everything and to a big group and of marketing and PR. And we sold big apartment. We sold everything.
Yeah.
No way back.
No.
And moved to Australia.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, it's interesting how you also mentioned that you wrote down what was important to you and like got that really clear, because do you think that helped you to make a quite certain decision that you were at the right, it was the right place?
Yeah, it was quite, a very long list of what were our expectations and our desires. Yeah,
it's almost like that. I think sometimes when you write things down and you're really clear about what you want, they just appear.
Exactly.
Because you know what you're looking for, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. So it was basically like opening a new chapter.
Yes.
And even a new book. And a new. Well, at one stage I considered starting again PR. But then I thought, new inspiration, why not?
Yeah.
And it just happened that my skills and creative force, because I had time. We were just renting a place on the Sunshine Coast, visiting Australia, enjoying. We wanted to have a holiday and to explore, to be sure that we wanted to stay on the Sunshine Coast. But I had plenty of time, so all these years where I didn't paint or create clothes, but create stuff for my clients, clients in PR, I think I needed to let go all this stuff.
Okay.
So I started to paint and paint so much that after a few months, there were paintings everywhere, and a lot of we were meeting a lot of people, and we had met quite a lot of friends on Sunshine Coast, and people were telling me it's really nice, can we buy your painting? And at one stage, my ex-husband told me, well, what are you going to do with all this painting? You need more people to see them, because it's really nice. Everyone tells you it's nice, and I thought, okay, I'm going to organize an exhibition. So I went around and met the people from the Nusa Regional Gallery, and they liked my work. So I decided to have a first exhibition here, 2001, I think. And invited all our friends that we had met, through the school of my girls, and all the activities what we were doing, and sold 30% of my work, which is amazing in a regional gallery. Usually you don't sell anything. So it was a big encouragement, and I just went full on.
Wow.
I just went full on. And in 10 years, I had 27 solo exhibitions, more than 60 group exhibitions everywhere.
Wow.
Not only in Australia, but also overseas.
Yeah.
And it just happened with a bit of, basically I thought, okay, I had exhibition in Sydney, in Adelaide, in Brisbane, in Melbourne. That would be good to go back home one day, to France and have an exhibition, and that would be good to have to travel with my painting. Why not?
Yeah.
And it just, just to think about it. I think I manifested it in some ways. So yeah, it just happened. I had an exhibition in Paris, which worked really well, where I could invite all the people I knew. And I worked with Madrid, with a very good gallery in Madrid for 4 years.
So it sounds like, sorry, I know you've got more background still, but I'll just intersperse some of the questions I've got at the same time, because it sounds like whatever you do turns to gold, actually. Like, it's like you do something and it goes well, and you do something and it goes well, which is amazing. I guess it is linked to the effort you put into it and all sorts of things. But what sort of barriers, were there any challenges or barriers that you had to overcome, or was it all quite smooth sailing?
Well, it's not really barriers, it's learning curve, well, like in fashion, you have fun creating something, and then people tell you, I want 1,000 of this dress.
Right.
That's a big obstacle. And a lot of people could say, oh, too complicated, I don't do it.
Yes.
Or they could think about it before, which I don't do. Usually, that's not me. With the paintings, I was creative, but so that was easy to paint for me, even if I kept learning the technique. Of course, and discovering some stuff, and I did, go back to the art school in Sydney during summer to work with some artists and teachers to learn some more tricks when I felt I needed to, more skills, or just to expand my skills. But of course, you have what the challenge that your desire, your ambition brings you. When I decided it would be good to travel with my painting, how do you travel with painting?
You have to figure it out.
When you have, the Australian government telling you, the Australia telling you, we organize an exhibition in Dubai, they want only abstract, because it's complicated with Muslim country. You can't represent a lot of stuff, and we chose 5 artists. You're one of them.
Wow.
How do you do to transport the painting? So you have to learn. I learned.
Yeah.
I think
that's interesting.
I don't remember who said this. I think it's the guy. Is that? Yeah, I think it's the guy, the owner of Virgin.
Richard.
Yeah,
Branson.
Richard Branson. I think he said, if you have an amazing opportunity, you say yes, and then you learn the skill.
Yes.
Basically, without thinking, that's what I did. I think, So
yeah,
I looked.
It's really interesting, actually. It's almost like the word barrier or challenge doesn't even exist in your sort of context. You just, like you say, you see an opportunity, and then it's all about, it's almost like some people might view, there's this barrier and I've got to do this and this is this challenge, whereas you're like, oh cool, I get to learn this new skill, and you just go with it, and it's
opportunity to learn.
Opportunity to learn.
So we learned, and we were, I had the support of my ex-husband at the time, who is also a very practical man. So we had to look at how to make crates for paintings, to go to Europe, because it was more complicated and it would have been very expensive to ship in a container and too long. So we just, creative solution.
Yeah.
Just unstretch the painting, roll them, and I remember that he made with a big, the pipe in PVC for the
containers.
He just made, took a big pipe in PVC, and we rolled the painting inside. Even made a little handle so we could travel with this stuff, and we traveled with the painting, and we didn't have any problem anywhere, going through the custom with this stuff which looked like a bazooka. I remember the police, after 2011, we went to Italy with the paintings. I had an exhibition in Paris. So we had to go through several, the customs in several places with the painting. And in Italy, they ask us, what are you transporting? I'm an artist, there are paintings. So we had to undo. They wanted to have a look. I said it was okay. We arrived in France when you had, basically police with guns because of the September 11. And we were, absolutely no problem to go through the customs. When we arrived to go, in the big corridors to go out of the airport, and coming toward us were 2, militaries with their gun on the shoulder, and we thought, they are going to annoy us, with all this luggage. And they look at us, and one said to my ex-husband, so you're traveling with your bazooka? And Jack said, and no one is asking anything. That's really cool. And the guy said, have fun. Imagine this in Australia.
No,
I don't know any, people at the custom or whatever will joke about. You don't joke about this kind of stuff, but in France they do. So no one stopped us anywhere, which was fabulous.
That's great.
But being creative, then you go to the country, you have to find someone to frame again, stretch again the painting. But it all worked well, so I suppose it was supposed to happen.
Yes, absolutely. Interesting. Okay, so I'll let you carry on. I've got a few other questions, but I might let you just carry on your story because there's a bit more
to where I am now.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, so from the painting, which is still, ongoing because I still sell painting. I paint a bit less at the moment, but I know it's there. It's going to start again. And yeah, on the way that I was, while I was painting, I've been doing yoga, meditation, all this kind of stuff for quite a long time. And I think my connection with Africa, this big spiritual awakening, really developed, a lot of things like intuition and the desire to be at peace, to be connected to myself in some ways. And so I met other people who were doing yoga and meditation. And at one stage, one of my daughter had some, health challenges. And, I was, and actually my ex-husband also had some health problem and had some strange, he was basically freaking out, which really surprised me because he's a very strong man. But so that was the first time I was seeing from the inside people confronted with health challenge.
Okay.
And the psychology of it really, it really struck me. And at this time, one of my very good friends told me, "Oh, we are going every Monday. We found this place, there is meditation, and this woman is amazing. The energy is really, you love her, you love the place, come with us." And I say, yes, another opportunity. And I went to this place and yes, it was fabulous. And I could see that some people had a health challenge. There was a young woman, obviously, had done chemo, bold, gorgeous, so such an energy, such a deep level of meditation, and we became quite, immediately we had a strong friendship developing. And she told me that she was, going there for meditation, that she had a very bad cancer and she knew she was going to heal. And, I just felt really attracted by everything she said and by this energy she was talking about. So I went there for quite a few weeks, even maybe a few months before looking. And I had also a very good connection with this woman. Before looking exactly at what else she was doing. And one day I took another flyer, look at her website, and I saw she was a Reiki master and a Reiki teacher. So I started to read about Reiki, and it just made sense and went straight to my heart. But first it was really for myself, for my personal development, and to help my family, to help, to bring this energy home and help, because I knew that freaking out because you have a health problem was not going anything good, just the opposite. So yeah, I really wanted to help and stop, the fear process in the family. There was something going wrong. So yeah, I went to learn Reiki 1, and I had few treatments, and I thought, what I was getting, the messages, what she could see, just was blowing my mind up completely. And then of course I did the level 2, and basically decided, progress, because I love understanding, I love finishing things. So, sometimes I don't remember, probably on a couple of years, maybe 3 years, I'm not sure. But I was not giving treatment apart from my family and to myself every day, religiously, every day.
Interesting.
I could feel really the effect of Reiki. It was really amazing. So I was really, doing it perfectly well. When we did the Reiki Master, she was doing it in 2 parts, Reiki Master for your development, and then for the people who wanted to teach. And I told her, well, I'm not doing the Reiki teacher. I don't think it's me. I don't think I will teach. And she looked at me with a little smile, and I thought, what is she saying? What is she bitching about?
Yeah. Why is she looking at me like that?
Just a little smile, which was a bit of irony, I suppose. And I went back home. I felt really amazing after learning the Reiki Master. And of course, the next morning I got up early, sent them a text message, and they said, "You're coming, I know." And so I did the teacher training, and then I decided to start to work.
Okay.
So I started to give treatment, and it just, everything started to flow really nicely. Having people, then decided that, I will teach.
No, you're amazing. I think you seem to be teaching a lot of people throughout a year. There's a lot of people that you are teaching, so I mean, I see it as it's such a positive thing to be doing, because you do Reiki treatments, but obviously you want to train people to be able to do it themselves as well, which is
well, I feel it's really what I love with Reiki is not something you become dependent of. It's really a method of empowerment.
Yes.
And something that it's not only a modality. When I say, oh, Reiki is just another, you hear people, Reiki is just another modality. Not at all.
No.
Reiki is a complete system, and actually the founder called it a system. It's really a system not only of personal growth but of healing. And they used to call it the system to invite happiness and health. And I believe, in my personal experiences, in my mind, in my body, I can, I can be really a witness. It's really what happened, and that's exactly what my clients and students tell me. I see, people changing, and sometime in a weekend, you see people arriving a bit shy or with physical problem. And in a weekend, they are just, they believe they can heal. They believe they can learn. They believe they can change. And it's their power, not someone taking, doctors or some practitioners taking power, on them. It's just they feel this strength, this motivation to learn and to apply the principle, which are amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. It's interesting, actually. I see Reiki as quite similar to meditation and mindfulness. It's like when you really practice, it becomes part of you and you just live it, and that's what Reiki is. It's like
a way of life.
Of life.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So yes, I think it's great that you're doing so well. One of the things I've noticed talking to different people who are living their purpose is that they tend to be very busy, active people, actually. So, some of the listeners might wonder, wow, how do they do everything? Because you've got a family, you've got your business, your Reiki business, you're doing Reiki, plus you're teaching Reiki, plus you're is it the president of Alliance Française?
The vice president.
Yeah. And then also you organise events still as well. Yeah. And there's probably other things you're doing that I don't even know about. Yeah. So how do you manage all that? How do you fit everything into because you're also very calm, and you're certainly not someone. I get very frustrated with people who constantly say how busy they are, because I think these days people use it as I'm busy so I'm important, whereas you have a very full life, but you never say, I'm busy. Yeah.
No, I have a full life, but I have a fulfilling life. It's not full, it's fulfilling.
Fulfilling is nice.
Because basically I'm free, I'm free to organize my work. I'm free. I feel it's exceptional that I refuse. I said to someone, well, no, I can't take you, for a treatment or an appointment this week, come next week. It's exceptional. I always try to fit people when they need it.
Yes.
But at the same time, I can juggle with my time as I want. If I had planned to write an article for a magazine, or if I plan to whatever, to organize anything, I can do it late at night. So I can still, just feel that everything I do, and gives me pleasure, makes me happy. And I think that's a big difference, and the stuff since now, since a couple of years, 3 years, 4 years actually, time is flying. I've been living alone because I separated from my ex-husband, and some stuff that he was doing for his own business and for me, like the accounting,
Oh, okay.
the awful MYOB. This is not me. So
Yes.
I took over. I learned to do it because I love learning. But every time I was doing it, I was, really keeping everything in voices and everything on the side, and it was asking me a big effort. And at one stage, I thought, no, I don't want to do this, And of course, the right person came to do it for me, and so I prefer to make the effort to pay someone who loves doing this and having my time to do stuff that are giving me pleasure,
Well,
so basically, everything I do
Yeah.
during the day, whatever it's preparing food because I have people coming for a retreat or a workshop, or writing something or creating a new workshop or a new course, learning, studying because I want to keep learning and I'm interested in many things, always give me pleasure.
Wow, and it sounds like also, it's interesting because it's just reminded me of something someone else said, but it sounds like everything that you do gives you energy.
Exactly.
And I remember when I quit advertising and took a year off to travel, and one of my friends said to me, just notice what gives you energy and what takes energy away from you. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle with their work, is it's taking all
Draining
their energy
Yeah.
away from them.
Yeah.
And it's true when you're doing something that gives you so much pleasure, it gives you energy, and then you just can do more and more and more, can't you?
Exactly. Very, very true. And doing the accounting was draining me because I really had to oblige myself, and it's not good to oblige yourself, So it's better to
sometimes
call in energy to work and make a bit of money to pay this extra dollars to pay an accountant. But to be in your groove, to be in the flow, and to do something which is satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really interesting. And related to that, I've really noticed throughout our discussion is that you obviously connect with people really well, and you love that, and you have very strong connections with a lot of people. And I think that is possibly one of your skills that has made you so successful. What about a support network? Have you sort of always, I think you've got a mentor, you've mentioned to me. So what's your sort of support structure? Because that's the other thing I find, people that are successful do tend to have quite a good support network.
Well, along my life and along my career, I had my main support was my ex-husband, and we both help each other. So we were a creative team. And as you know, I'm very interested in numerology. We had the same numbers. We are both master number, and we really were, an amazing creative team, and partners in business with our separate businesses, but really always, helping each other. And when we moved here, he really helped me at the beginning with the painting, before he started to do other stuff, and it was longer to bounce back after arriving from France. But since we separated, I think, apart from this mentor, I have some great friends, but they are not really, we love each other. I know if I need to have a chat or whatever, or to have, like when I broke my collarbone, to have someone driving me somewhere. I have this support of friends, and they know they can count on me too, which is, so I have probably, 5 or 6 very close friends that, I do, I know I can count on, and vice versa. But mainly for the work I do now, it's my mentor. It's this woman I have really a strong connection with, and always, always She always has enlightening, ideas and an amazing sense of humor, which just brings in, because she works like me. She's a psychologist. She learned, she did some Reiki when she was younger, so she knows energy, and she works with meditation. She's a psychologist who doesn't, she uses a lot of different techniques. We have so much in common, so she learned kinesiology, she learned TFT, the tapping, she learned Reiki, she uses the light meditation. Basically, she taught me a lot of this stuff, and as she said, all the stuff we learn when we do counseling or psychologist is interesting, but basically what works the best is the light meditation and energy work, which makes
interesting.
Really interesting. But she has, she has all this knowledge, so she can, of course, say when someone, has a narcissistic problem, or when someone, she can identify the problem. But very often she goes back to some of these tools, she has, and I feel very similar in some ways to her. I feel I have quite an amazing toolbox. And depending on the people coming, sometimes people call me and they say, oh, we want to do a past life regression. And I never worked with them before. And I always ask, why? Why do you choose this? And I send a little list of questions. And sometimes I take my phone, and I call, I say, listen, I understand the curiosity or whatever. But with what you said, I feel you should have a treatment, a Reiki before, And and sometimes they just realize they want to have a couple of Reikis and learn Reiki. And then, they will do the past life regression when they heal some part of them. Or sometimes it's reverse. I give a Reiki treatment and I feel the problem of this person comes from a past life, and I offer, I really feel, when I was giving you the treatment, that there is something which comes from another life. So it's just having all these tools that you can adapt, because no one is the same, and there is not one size fit all. It doesn't exist,
No, absolutely not. What other questions have I got here? One of the things I was going to mention is you've done a lot of things that are quite daring and quite brave by many people's standards. One of the things I like to discuss with the people I'm interviewing is, what traits do you think are important for following your dreams? So other people can kind of go, oh yeah, I have that trait, maybe that's something I need to work on.
I'm stubborn. So when
Stubborn?
I was, stubborn, you can see it. Some people stay stubborn, resilient. So when I want something, I don't change mind after 5 minutes. So because there is a little obstacle or a big obstacle, I just
keep going.
I keep going unless I realize I don't like it, and it was a mistake. I recognize when it's like this, and it has, fashion gave me a lot of pleasure for 4, 5, 6 years. I don't remember, but eventually you
realized when it got really big and production orientated.
It was really precious, so it didn't work with me. What else? Well, I think I'm intelligent. I love learning, flexible mentally, so I can adapt to people. Good listeners, certainly good listener. Creative. I love challenges. And I love doing funny stuff. Like I learned to fly a plane. Not everyone feel like being a pilot of small plane. I love having fun and learning something new. What else? I don't know.
Yeah, those are good. Those are great traits. I think you're right. Those are all important factors for being able to follow your dream, really. And I guess, again, the biggest thing that I've seen from what you've mentioned to me is just that your connection with people, and that you're very good with people, and that you have very strong relationships with people, which seems to, it's a really important factor.
I'm interested in people, and I I love seeing them evolving. I love listening to them, and and changing, helping them to change their view of things. And I love seeing people happy.
Yeah, that's great. And another thing that sometimes one of the things that stops people from following their dreams, and again, this whole money orientation, is that they believe that it's not financially viable. Now, to me, I don't know what your financial situation is, but you've got a beautiful home in Mumbai, and you seem to be doing well. I guess it's just, can you confirm that following your dreams is financially viable?
Well, in Paris with our different businesses, we made quite a lot of money. And well enough to decide to, stop everything around the age of 45 and sell everything and change life.
Yeah.
Of course, now it's a bit so. From the divorce, I kept the house, which is good because it's a perfect property to do what I'm doing. And it's attracting a lot of people. But it's a bit more difficult. But I make, usually it's really amazing because these last few years, I have been challenged on the money side, because living in this house, which has been built now 18, 19 years ago, I had big works to do, like replace a roof on the shed. That was the first big stuff. And when I saw the amount of money that where the guys, after asking few quotes, were asking, I thought, oh, how I'm going to pay for this, without digging too much in the superannuation fund and taking too much risk. And I just learned to trust. I had to work at another level of my personal confidence and avoiding this fear, this pressure, because actually I just received the invoice and I had a couple of people coming for a quote. The last guy was recommended by a friend, adorable, and immediately say, you don't need that, that's bullshit. You don't need to change the whole roof. Just half is enough because your other part is good.
Oh, okay.
And so very honest.
Yes.
And he came, did the work alone, it was lots less expensive than the other guy, and beautiful energy. And when he finished and gave me his invoice, I had that was the first time I started to have my new number for the Reiki 1 class moved from 7 to 8, and since it hasn't changed.
Okay.
And I had enough money, enough money to pay the invoice. And I thought, okay, that's a sign from universe telling me no fear.
Yeah.
No fear, everything will be okay. And also, I tell myself, if one day it's not okay, I will sell this place and buy a smaller one, and it will, and I will find the perfect place. So I think it's really this idea of being in the flow and not to be worried. But I work well, and I have expanded now my business, working in Singapore, in Paris. Without asking, I was basically driven to go to a place, and I started to do also to see clients when I go there.
So I just wanted to mention that, just for the people that are going to listen to this, that we're on the Sunshine Coast in Australia, which is a very regional area, and it's not a big city, and it's not a place where there are a lot of people with a lot of money. So I think to be successful here is, outstanding, actually. You've got this business and it's running, and it's, you've always got classes and things. So that's, I
believe, I really noticed, Sarah, that when people want to change, or when they suffer and they want it to stop, when there is this moment of awareness where, or like me, sometimes they feel like I felt many times in my life, they feel that's what they need to do. And sometimes, I have people driving from Brisbane, coming, once a week to do some, one-on-one mentoring session with me, or coming for a treatment, or coming the whole weekend. I had people sleeping at my place this weekend, and they were coming, one from Kenilworth, the other one from Brisbane, 2 friends, and I had people coming from Tasmania, learning Reiki with me and coming
that's amazing.
for treatment.
Yeah.
You know, I do distance healing, but sometimes people want to come and want to meet me and to see, you know, my place. And so yeah, I believe when people feel that's where they're supposed to be, you know, they feel this energy we were talking about before. It's a strong attraction, and they know it's going to, you know, that's the beginning of the healing or growth process of the journey.
Yeah.
I'm surprised sometimes. You know, I have people asking me, "Oh, can I come tomorrow?" Well, not too early because I'm driving. And I say, "Where are you driving from?" And you know, Gold Coast, Brisbane, whatever. You know, and there are other people doing Reiki, but I feel people are more and more connected with what they need. And
I think it's one of those things that there's always cheaper options for things, but it's finding the right person, and once you find the right person, you'll commit to that person.
I had people from Melbourne coming to learn Reiki, and you know,
I think some of them were on one of my courses. Interesting. That's great. Just a couple more questions quickly. So looking back, is there anything you would have done differently? Sounds like no. From what you've told me so far, you can just say no.
I think no. I think even, you know, even if I stop fashion, I had lots of fun doing it.
When you've gone back to fashion a little bit too, aren't you doing t-shirts now?
Yeah, well, I don't make the t-shirt. But
you're doing the creative side of it.
Life is a cycle. Yes. It's really funny, and I know painting is coming back because, you know, I had several people asking me lately, you know, when is the next exhibition, and people buying my art book, and a guy actually calling me. He does a documentary series on television, and you know, spend whole episode on filming an artist, and he sent me a message. "Oh, I love to do the series on you." I say, "Okay."
Wow,
so
fantastic.
Back in the studio, we'll see if it happens.
Yeah.
But I know, you know, and I know probably I will have another, you know, different inspiration after working so much with energy. But no, the only thing maybe that I will change, but you know, growth is what it is. I would have learned to learn Reiki earlier.
Oh yes, that's probably my only thing as well. Is some of the things I wish I'd done earlier, but you know, I guess you find these things when you're meant to.
Exactly.
So and those are all my questions. Is there anything else that you'd like to say, or any advice that you'd give others that want to follow their dreams?
Yeah, well, I think it's, you know, as we said before, it's more important to find something that makes you happy, which is really a dream, and to be quite open-minded to let go of, you know, your personal judgment, because you know, fear is really something which blocks people, and also what others think. That's I think it's really and the fear of, you know, of not making enough money or not to succeed. Sometimes we have to jump in the void, and you know. So one of my advice would be learn to trust. You know, let go of fear and whatever technique you use, and learn to trust that you're supported, and that, you know, there will be always a solution.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Excellent.